You didn't wake up this morning planning to buy anything, and yet, by the end of the day, you probably will. Not because you need it, but because something inside you was quietly pushed without you noticing. This is not about weak self-control, and it's not about stupidity. It's about how modern marketing understands your brain better than you understand yourself. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. You believe buying is a conscious decision, that you compare options, evaluate value, and then choose. That's the story you tell yourself. In reality, most purchases are decided before logic even enters the room. Your brain has two systems. One is slow, rational, and analytical. The other is fast, emotional, and automatic. Marketing never talks to the first one. It talks directly to the second. Think about the last thing you bought impulsively. It probably wasn't expensive. It probably didn't solve a real problem. And yet, it felt necessary in the moment. That feeling wasn't accidental. It was engineered. Let's start with the first illusion, the illusion of identity. You don't buy products, you buy versions of yourself. Brands don't ask, what do you need? They ask, who do you want to be? Confident, successful, minimalist, powerful, creative, different. When a product aligns with a desired identity, your brain stops evaluating its usefulness. It starts protecting the story. Buying becomes self-expression, not consumption. This is why people buy things they rarely use but would never throw away. They're not objects, they're symbols. Now comes the second mechanism, artificial scarcity. Limited time offer, only a few left, last chance. Your brain interprets scarcity as danger, not logical danger, social danger. If something is scarce, it must be valuable. If you don't act now, you risk losing status, opportunity, or control. This activates loss aversion, a psychological bias where losing feels twice as painful as gaining. So you don't buy because you want it. You buy to avoid regret. Marketing doesn't push you forward. It scares you from staying still. The third mechanism is more subtle, cognitive offloading. Modern life is exhausting. Thousands of decisions every day. Your brain looks for shortcuts. Brands know this. That's why they simplify choices. 3 pricing tiers, 1 highlighted option, 1 labeled most popular. You think you're choosing freely, but your brain is relieved that the decision was made for you. When thinking costs energy, buying feels like rest. Then there's the most dangerous trigger of all, emotional displacement. You don't buy products to solve product problems. You buy them to solve emotional ones. Stress, boredom, loneliness, insecurity. Marketing attaches emotional relief to ownership. This will make you feel in control. This will make you feel attractive. This will make you feel productive. For a brief moment, it works. And then the feeling fades. So you buy again. Not because the product failed, but because the emotion returned. Now let's talk about trust. You trust brands you don't even like because familiarity feels like safety. Repeated exposure creates psychological comfort, even if the message is neutral. This is called the mere exposure effect. The more you see something, the more your brain assumes it's safe. That's why brands don't try to convince you once. They surround you quietly until resistance feels unnecessary. And finally, the illusion of control. Modern marketing doesn't force you to buy. It makes you believe the idea was yours. Personalized ads, recommendations. Because you watched this, your brain mistakes relevance for intention. You think, I was already thinking about this. No, you were guided there. Control feels strongest when influence is invisible. So why do you buy things you don't really need? Because need was never the goal. The goal was emotion, identity, relief, belonging. Marketing doesn't sell products. It sells psychological comfort, packaged as choice. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You are not irrational. You are predictable. And predictability is profitable. Once you understand this, you don't stop buying, you start seeing. And when you see the system, it loses its power. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's where the story usually ends. But the real manipulation happens after the purchase. Because buying is not the finish line. It's the beginning of a loop. A loop designed to keep you slightly dissatisfied. Have you ever noticed something strange? The excitement before buying is often stronger than the feeling after owning. That's not a coincidence. Your brain releases more dopamine in anticipation than in possession. Marketing doesn't sell the product. It sells the moment before the product, the unboxing, the tracking notification, the imagination of a better version of you. Once the item arrives, reality replaces fantasy, and reality is always quieter. This creates a psychological gap, a small discomfort, a subtle emptiness, not enough to hurt, just enough to notice. Brands don't rush to fill that gap immediately. They wait until your brain starts searching again. Now let's talk about upgrades. You don't need them, but you want them. Because brands carefully design dissatisfaction into the system. There is always a better version, a newer model, a cleaner design, a faster experience. Your current product is never bad. It's just not optimal. This triggers comparative dissatisfaction. You don't feel poor because you lack something. You feel poor because someone else has something better. Marketing doesn't compete with your needs. It competes with your reference points. And those reference points are not random. They're curated. Influencers, lifestyle ads, product placement. You're not shown extremes. You're shown proximity. People who feel just one step ahead of you. Close enough to be believable. Far enough to feel behind. That distance creates motivation, and motivation creates spending. Another mechanism quietly at work is moral licensing. You tell yourself, I worked hard, I deserve this. I saved money elsewhere. One responsible action unlocks one irresponsible purchase. Brands encourage this narrative. They frame buying as self-care, as reward, as balance. You're not wasting money. You're compensating effort. Psychologically, this removes guilt, and guilt is the biggest barrier to spending. But perhaps the most uncomfortable mechanism is the illusion of rationalization. After buying, your brain rewrites the story. You didn't buy impulsively. You made a smart decision. You focus on the benefits. Ignore the doubts. Defend the purchase. This is called post-purchase rationalization. Not because the product is perfect, but because admitting a mistake threatens your self-image. Marketing relies on this. Once you defend a purchase, you're more likely to repeat it. Consistency feels safer than correction. Over time, something deeper happens. Your identity becomes tied to consumption. You're not just someone who owns things. You're someone who chooses certain brands. They become shortcuts for who you are. Apple user, minimalist aesthetic, luxury taste, productivity mindset. Brands don't want loyalty. They want self-identification. Because when a brand becomes part of your identity, not buying feels like betrayal. This is why unsubscribing is hard, why canceling feels uncomfortable, why leaving a brand feels personal. It's not about the product anymore. It's about consistency with who you think you are. So when you ask, why do I keep buying things I don't really need? The answer is not impulse, and it's not weakness. It's design. A system built on human psychology, refined by data, optimized by repetition. You are not failing the system. The system is working perfectly. Here's the paradox. Understanding this doesn't make you immune, but it gives you distance. And distance is power. When you recognize anticipation, you can pause. When you feel urgency, you can wait. When you feel identity pressure, you can question it. Not to stop buying, but to start choosing. Because the most powerful act in modern marketing is not resistance, it's awareness. And awareness changes everything. Once you see it, you don't just buy less, you buy differently. And that is something no advertisement can control. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Before we end, there's one last thing worth saying. Understanding marketing psychology doesn't mean you stop buying. It means you stop being surprised by your own decisions. When you see how influence works, you regain a quiet kind of control. Not by resisting everything, but by choosing consciously. If this video made you pause or see something familiar in a new way, then it did its job. Thank you for spending this time here. If you want to understand how brands, systems, and stories shape human behavior without ever asking permission, subscribe. New videos are coming, and they will change how you see the world.